This portion of New Day Northwest is sponsored by IBS Treatment Center.
Welcome back, everybody. Irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS, is a painful and debilitating gastrointestinal disease that is often difficult to diagnose in adults and even more difficult in infants. A.J. Roberts struggled to find help for her 2-year-old son, Asa, who would get sick even from breast milk, until she sought the help of the IBS Treatment Center. Here with us today, A.J. and Asa Roberts and Dr. Stephen Wangen from the IBS Treatment Center. Welcome to all of you. AJ, you may have heard me say, I didn't really realize IBS could be had in infancy. So what were the symptoms that were going on?
Well, we noticed right at the beginning, even with the breast milk, he would latch really well and then pull off and cry for like a half an hour, and then we'd refeed and redo the whole thing again. He would his legs would kick up, and he would be in pain. His tummy would be really tight, and he just seemed like he was in a lot of pain.
Every time he ate?
Every time he ate.
Now, obviously, you went to your pediatrician.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How long did it take to kind of pin this down?
Well, over 2 years before we finally figured stuff out. But we did stop dairy in my diet. We did start an acid blocker, which did help. And then we had to go to a special formula. And all that process took a long time.
This is one beautiful child. Hello there. Hello there. Dr. Wangen, so by the time you saw Asa, what was his condition and what did you do?
Well, he had been sick for over 2 years, and they had had a terrible time trying to find the right kind of help. They had sort of gotten a few answers here and there, but not really gotten the full solution. And Asa wasn't eating, and he wasn't growing, he wasn't developing, and you know, AJ could tell that whole story even better than I can. But we see this a lot in infants. We see a lot of kids who've been colicky, who aren't developing, who are maybe spitting up a lot, and they don't usually call it IBS in kids. They'll call it colic, or they'll call it just vomiting, or they'll call it constipation or diarrhea or something else, but they usually won't give that label. But it's the same concept. It's the same problem.
Okay, so maybe that's what I'm thinking of when I'm thinking I haven't heard this with infants.
Right.
But it's the same process, right? Because if he's not eating, he's not growing, you're not sleeping, everybody's worried, and you're going to doctor after doctor trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
So in the end, how is he doing now? What did you do to get him better?
Well, we found out that he had a severe dairy allergy that he was originally reacting to.
You want to play with this?
Yeah, give him that.
Look at that. Look at that thing. It's fun. It's got 2 parts. You can rip it apart. I'm telling you, it's more fun than a barrel of monkeys. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's right. This is the star here.
Don't want it?
Well, he had a reaction to a couple different foods, and originally he would get it in his mom's breast milk. That's what she was eating, and what they didn't realize was that it wasn't just going to go away or disappear. It was something that they had to continually be aware of, and it was gluten as well as dairy in this instance. It's different for every child. And
how do you find that out? Is it the same sort of elimination plan that we do for adults?
Well, there is specialized testing that usually doesn't get done. Even most allergists don't do it, but there is testing that can help us sort that out, and that's what Asa had. And then we were able to figure out the right food to give him that would help him be healthy. And once we could do that, he's taken off. I mean, AJ could tell the story much better.
AJ, how's he doing?
He's doing great. He's still leery of new foods, which is a problem, but he's also 2. But we noticed
that might have been happening
anyway. We noticed within 4 days a complete change in his bowel movements.
No way. In 4 days.
In 4 days.
What did that feel like as a mom who'd been worried about a sick child?
It was exciting. It was really exciting and encouraging for the first time to have good, healthy bowel movements.
Right. Yeah. It's funny the things you celebrate when your kids are small.
We talk a lot about poop at home.
Yeah. So you know, well, everybody poops, as the book says, and you have to deal with that. So in terms of his future, what do you have to do now in terms of introducing new foods?
Well, he's completely dairy and gluten-free, so it's just reading a lot of labels. But there's a lot of options out there for him.
And are there more resources for parents now? Because I'm only imagining maybe 10, 15 years ago, people struggling with no real umbrella diagnosis, and we didn't talk about gluten, and we didn't know that much about specific allergies with this sort of thing.
There's a lot of resources. I mean, the internet's full of resources, and there's a lot of stores that cater to gluten and dairy-free, which is it makes my life easier. I'm
Yeah.
glad it's now and not 20 years ago.
Well, I'm certain you can empathize with young parents who are going through similar things.
Yeah.
Are there any words to describe what that's like?
It's overwhelming to know that your kid's not feeling well and not knowing how to find them. So I'm really glad we found the IBS Center and got some blood work done and figured out what was wrong with him.
And doctor, what would you say if a parent or a grandparent knows that there's a child who is colicky, as we've always said? When is the time to seek more specialized treatment?
Well, if you're not getting, most of the time, people will go to their pediatrician and they'll say, well, my baby's colicky or not sleeping well or spitting up a lot, and they'll say, well, that's relatively normal, and they'll outgrow it. But, really that's not good health. That's not the way they should be feeling. And there's an answer for that, but you might have to search beyond the traditional means. I mean, even they went to Children's Hospital twice, and still, they said, well, he seems okay because his weight was okay, and it was Mom's experience. Mom was saying, no, but he's not healthy.
She knew, you knew he
He's not
wasn't
healthy.
okay. How early can this happen with a baby?
Well, like she said, like AJ said, even when he was breastfeeding, so it was immediate.
So it could be from the very
It was from the
beginning.
very beginning. But it might not show up then. It might show up a year later or when they're 2 or 3. But there's always a reason. And that's, I think, the important part is not to just medicate the symptoms, but to try to figure out, well, why is this happening? Because you can really help your child be so much healthier in the long run, especially.
Couldn't agree more.
Not just
I mean, you
immediate.
just really have to be your child and your own advocate when you're in situations like this. You did great, Asa. You want a fake lemon?
Yeah.
What do you think? Yeah, that's kind of fun for a minute. No? Get it away? I don't blame you. It's not real. It's some weird, but they look real. For more information about the IBS Treatment Center, you can help your child, you can help yourself. Please visit our website and we'll provide a link for you. And later on the show, Dr. Wangen will be back to answer your questions, so feel free to be in touch with us. When we come back, how you can